One day, Fei returned home with another woman, announcing that she was pregnant with his child. Damola was devastated, unable to believe her ears. She had not been able to conceive a child herself, and now her husband had impregnated another woman without a second thought. As Damola struggled to comprehend the situation, Fei declared that the woman would be living with them. When Damola questioned this decision, Fei responded with a furious slap and ordered her to go to the kitchen to prepare a meal for him and his mistress. Trying to numb the pain of the slap, Damola went to the kitchen, tears streaming down her face, and began to prepare the meal. She couldn't understand how her life had turned into such a nightmare. The house had become a constant reminder of her husband's cruelty. Damola overheard conversations between Fei and Toan, where Fei would openly proclaim that he didn't care about his wife and only kept her around out of pity. Despite everything, Damola loved her husband deeply and was willing to do anything for him. But over the years, Fei's love had faded, replaced by contempt and cruelty. His behavior towards her had worsened, especially after he began his affair with Toin. Fei completely ignored Damola, withholding any form of affection or kindness. Damola endured the emotional torment of living with an unfaithful husband and his mistress. Fei's contempt and degrading behavior made Damola feel like a servant in her own home. Night after night, Damola stayed up late, fulfilling the whims of Fei's pregnant mistress. On one occasion, after finishing cooking, Toin casually announced that she was no longer hungry, rejecting the meal. This infuriated Damola, but she managed to keep her composure, fearing her husband's reaction if she complained the next day. Damola couldn't help but reminisce about the beautiful memories she once shared with her husband. These thoughts broke her heart, filling her with longing for the sweet and loving man she had married. One day, lost in deep thought, she was suddenly drenched with a bucket of dirty water. Toin claimed she hadn't seen Damola sitting there. Instead of confronting Toin, Damola chose to walk away, avoiding any form of confrontation. When she returned home to change out of her soiled clothes, her husband Fei burst into the house, screaming accusations at her and threatening to beat her. Fei accused Damola of trying to harm Toin's unborn baby. Damola tried to explain that she had done no such thing, but Toin insisted that Damola had attacked her. Fei's rage was uncontrollable as he started to beat Damola. In a state of distress and despair, she was forced to pack her belongings and leave the house. Fei declared that he no longer cared about their marriage and threw her out. Heartbroken and unsure of how to face her family, Damola returned to her parents' home. She was lost in her thoughts, struggling to summon the courage to tell them what had happened. Her family was shocked and heartbroken to hear about her ordeal. Meanwhile, Fei continued living with Toin, who soon gave birth to a baby girl. However, it wasn't long before Fei claimed to have fallen in love with another woman and lost interest in Toin. Unable to bear her husband's infatuation with another woman, Toin sought the help of a powerful juju man. The juju man prepared a charm to kill the woman Fei was in love with and gave Toin a red candle, instructing her to speak her wishes into it. Toin followed the juju man's instructions meticulously. The next day, she received the devastating news that her sister had died. Toin was overwhelmed with grief and demanded to know how it had happened. She was told that her sister had mysteriously fainted and passed away. It was then that Toan realized that her sister was the woman Fei had fallen deeply in love with. The villagers, alarmed by the mysterious death, decided to consult the gods to uncover the truth. The gods revealed that Toan was responsible for her sister's death, an unintended consequence of her desperate attempt to reclaim Fei's love. This revelation horrified the villagers, who immediately ostracized Toan from the community. Even Fei, realizing the extent of her actions, turned his back on her and left her to her fate. Fei, in a fit of anger, declared that he never wanted to see Damola again and threw her out of the house. Overwhelmed by shame and disbelief at how her life had spiraled out of control, Damola left the village and was never heard from again. After this, Fei began spending most of his time with his mistress, leaving their daughter in the care of his elderly mother. One day, Fei's closest friend, Toby, brought shocking news. Damola was going to marry another man. Fei couldn't believe his ears. He rushed to Damola's house as fast as his legs could carry him. To his astonishment, Damola was indeed preparing to get married. At the wedding ceremony, Fei confronted Damola with a mix of rage and jealousy, demanding an explanation for her decision. The villagers, recalling the saga between Fei, Damola, and Toan, had no sympathy for Fei. Damola met Fei's gaze with calm composure. She explained that after years of mistreatment and heartbreak, she had found a man who treated her with kindness and respect. The villagers supported Damola's right to happiness and viewed Fei's anger as another attempt to control her. Damola's new husband approached Fei with a gentle smile, expressing his dedication to making Damola happy and caring for her. The villagers stood firmly behind Damola, believing that she deserved the love and happiness that had been denied to her for so long. Fei, realizing the gravity of his loss, returned home in a state of despair. He could hardly believe how his life had turned out and deeply regretted all he had done to Damola. Meanwhile, Damola thrived in her new life, cared for and loved wholeheartedly by her new husband. She rediscovered her sense of self-worth and began to shine again, finding the love and respect she always deserved. This story teaches us an invaluable lesson. You never truly appreciate what you have until it is gone. Cherish and treat the people in your life with kindness and respect, for you never know when they might be gone. Love and respect are fundamental to any relationship, and cruelty only brings more pain and sorrow. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment. Your support helps us grow and bring you more compelling stories. See you in our next tale. Goodbye and take care.